Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it's Cypher Sigma here, or Chris, and it is a Wednesday, so it is a look what I've been watching. So again, box sets. As this will come out around horror, after horror, you see there's quite a lot of horror I've been watching in there. And I know a few things because of some of these. It's taking quite a lot out of me to watch everything. But anyway. First we get off to, so first we have the movie Larry Crowne. So this was one of my 29 to rewatches to whether, or when I did my last binge, there was 29 movies I was unsure about. This is one of them to rewatch, or I've never seen it to kind of see if I enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed this movie. Essentially, Tom Hanks is made redundant. He's fired from his job. He goes back to college, and then through college, he kind of makes friends with Julia Roberts and a load of other people, and kind of finds himself. And it was a nice, heartwarming film. These two have quite great chemistry together, and I just liked how it went. It was kind of a nice, kind of relates a little bit to current affairs of, obviously, or probably at the time, people getting made, like how companies are, they get rid of you, it doesn't matter, you are a number, but then obviously how you can turn that negative into a positive, so to speak. So I'm really glad to have this in the collection and really enjoyed it, so that will definitely stay. Next up, because AJ had sent me this a little while ago, and apologies I hadn't got around to watch it. These are the 5 specials that essentially make the ending of the David Tennant era, leading up to Matt Smith being creative. I'm not a big Doctor Who fan. I've watched Eccleston and Tennant. I finished with Tennant. I don't have any inclination or even wanting to go any further. I think that is enough Doctor Who for me to enjoy. I quite like this guy as the Master. I thought he was always, I know he's been in before, but I thought he was cleverly done. Obviously, you kind of have a Christmas special. You kind of have like some of the returning cast and that in between this, which was cleverly done. And it was very much a kind of case study on the Doctor, of him being told to die, not wanting to die, and stuff like this. Obviously, you had the Christmas story, you had the spy with the girl from EastEnders, and then obviously leading up to the Master, converting everybody into him, and then him trying to take over. I thought I enjoyed it. I thought it could have been done better. There's the kind of something that came up with there'll be 4 knocks and this will be it. And it's kind of, for me, they kind of reference this a little bit, but not too much. But it would have been nice if maybe this had been referenced like a season earlier, and essentially said, look, someone had said, like the Doctor, there is an access in time that cannot be changed and can never be changed. You will know this by when the 4th knock has occurred or something, or the 4th something has occurred. And then throughout the last series leading up to this, and in some of the specials, you have those events happening, that the thing happens 4 times. And then by the final one, the Doctor maybe he's got to save the Earth, and by doing it, the 4th thing of something happens, and he knows it's going to happen, he accepts it fate. And I think that would have made it a little bit better in my eyes. But still enjoyed it. Obviously glad to have the whole continuum of the new series up to David Tennant's end. This is where Doctor Who will end for me. I have no, as I say, interested in going forwards, interested in going back. Paul McGann will always be kind of my go-to Doctor Who, because that's the one I've always only ever seen and enjoyed that movie. Wish it would have been made into a series. I enjoyed this for what it is. It's not converting me into a Doctor Who fan, but I enjoyed Doctor Who, and I've watched Doctor Who, and I can at least have now, when the subject gets brought up, I can talk about the Cybermen and the Master and the Daleks, and I know a bit more about who, what, where, and why, and that's these will stay in my collection because they're gifts anyway, and I weren't planning to go anywhere. But I think that's how I am as a person, I am open to watching stuff. If anybody brings anything that I've never seen, I will happily sit down, I will watch it, I will engross myself into it, and at least try to understand their side of things so I can have that discussion. I know sometimes that makes me very unique. People are, everything is subjective, but people do have their opinions, and people don't like to even consider it. My one has always been, life says, like, there are 2 sides of the coin. Technically, there's actually 3, because there's this edge here that people forget about. And I think when it comes to your opinion and you have someone else's opinion, to not only listen to them, but then exploring this grey area between the two, I think makes you appreciate stuff more and opens your mind to stuff, because there's so much out there. Even I say, there's even stuff for subjects that I'm not necessarily great, like horror genres and stuff like horror. But I will watch them, and there are some horror movies I really enjoy and stuff. But anyway, I divert, just a little something I notice as I grow older into my 40s, and obviously the amount of movies and stuff I watch grows and grows and grows. It's just something I've always taken on, and I found it always works for me, but obviously not for everyone. So next up is, me and my wife have struggled for series to watch. So we have, actually, before I get into that, so we've had a few online stuff. So there was The Girl in Cabin 10. This was a movie on Netflix, which I'm with Keira Knightley. Essentially, she is a reporter, goes on this boat. She comes across this passenger in Cabin 10. They get thrown overboard, and then there is a whole story of what happens. I didn't see the twist coming. I didn't see who the passenger 10 was. I will give the story that. For me, it is too short of a time span of an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes, I think it is, to kind of delve into what is going on and for you to appreciate it and stuff like this. I think if this had been 4 or 5, maybe even 6 an episode series, I think it would have had a more powerful impact on it. But for me, it was like, meh, it was all right. It just, stuff moves too quickly when you got an hour, you're an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, especially when it takes like 30, 40 minutes, I think, before you're even on the boat and the cabins and everything else. But as I say, the twist was still good, so I'm not going to take it away from that. The next one we watched on Netflix, sorry, it is The Loch, or Loch Ness as it's called. Essentially, this is a 6-episode miniseries. I think maybe it was on ITV. Stars the blacksmith from the Heath Ledger 2001 A Knight's Tale. Funny enough, essentially she is a police officer in a small town on Loch Ness. If you couldn't get where the Loch, I said it's IMDb, it has it's The Loch. On Netflix, it has it Loch Ness. Essentially, a kid goes missing. There is a body underwater on the loch. There are a few other things that keep happening, and basically they believe there is some sort of serial killer in this town, and they're trying to figure out what's happening, why you've kind of got everybody trying to do their own thing and stuff like this. And it actually was quite an enjoyable series. It takes a little while to get into. There are some twists and turns that you don't see coming, and it's one of those places where everybody seems to have something to hide and some mystery and something, but it all kind of comes together at the end. And I think that is what made the series as it was very good. It was, I say, it was only one series. I think it was only a mini series. I don't know if they plan to do it anymore, but I think they rounded it off really well, tied up all the story, makes sense, and that's it. So that was Loch Ness. Right, back to it. So then we have Coupling. So after we watched those two, we were struggling for series to watch. We tried to do stuff. So The Twits has come on at Netflix. I watched about 10 minutes of that, and me and my wife could not get into that series, into that film, so we turned that off. There was a series called The Blood. We watched the first episode of that. We couldn't get into that. So for me, it's quite of a turning point in my life. For me, I would always watch everything from start to finish. Now, because I have so much and I've seen so much, I come to the point of, if by an episode or two, especially with my wife, because if she isn't enjoying it and I'm okay on it, then I just let it go. Normally, I would kind of force her to watch 3 or 4 episodes, and then we kind of watch it, and she's not really paying attention, and sometimes that dwindles on me. That kind of drains me a little bit as a watcher, and I don't want to not enjoy experiences. So it's one of those things now. I always say that when I watch the stuff with my wife, if she's not enjoying it, I will turn it off. If I have an urge, or I do find it quite interesting, I will go back and watch it, which is what I've done in the past. But this is, we turn it off a lot quicker. I kind of give it the 10-15 minute rule for her. But if you're out there and you have your partner and your partner like that, please do let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Obviously, it does make that's where I think Matt has done a series or a video that basically says, obviously, about scrolling. I don't scroll through Netflix. Normally I go on there, I find something and I normally watch it, or I have my lists. And since a kid, that's what I've always done. I've come home and watch what I want to watch. I have my list of stuff and just watch through it. And yes, it puts you in a different place. Sometimes you might not always enjoy movies or series if you're not in the right frame of mind, but having this kind of constant random influx of stuff, unless there's the odd something that you really, really fancy, and then I divert there. but it makes you enjoy stuff and come across a lot more and experience a lot more. And I think that's what makes me more, my tastes and my more kind of appetite more wide when it comes to movies and series. But anyway, I keep getting off. So we were struggling. So what I said about Dharma or Greg or Coupling. Coupling I've seen multiple times. I know this off the back of my head. Or Dharma and Greg. Dharma and Greg I did get season, they only released season 1 and 2. There was 5 series. I do have all 5 because I managed to acquire the other 3. They've never been released, so obviously I went the normal route. So I'm not doing anybody out of pocket. I really wish they did do a 5 series box set because I love Dharma and Greg. So we will probably revisit that series as well. But we went back to this 2001's Coupling, essentially the British kind of adult version of Friends, if you'd. Great series. Love Jeff. As I say, I can recount quite a lot of the phrases. This was a really great series from Stephen Moffat. Obviously, originally went on to do Doctor Who, and you could tell because he mentions Doctor Who once or twice in here, or in the series complete. Really great series. Obviously, they've gone on to do, obviously, Jack Davenport was Commodore Norrington in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Sarah Alexander's gone on to do Green Wing and a few other things. She was in Leverage. Richard Carl was in the latest Fantastic Beasts movie, and this guy is in the Girlfriend series on Amazon Prime, if you didn't watch, which I mentioned in the last episode. But really enjoyed all of this. Really enjoyed 6 episodes. Got season 2 as well to watch, and 3, and look forward to watching all of them. So next up we have is Nightmare on Elm Street. So AJ gifted me this, the DVD box set, because I hadn't seen any of them. I didn't know any of them. So I look forward to watching this. As it's Halloween, I won't do a separate ranking for this. Obviously, I did do for the Saw movies. I did enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street 1. Obviously, Johnny Depp being. There are aspects of the later ones that I do enjoy. There are a lot of things I'd not say necessarily enjoy. This is the prime example of you have these people or innocent kids because this person's not a nice person. The parent took vengeance on them, killed them. He comes back as a demon and basically takes vengeance on all the kids. That's kind of how the first few movies go. Then the powers get diverted and there's other kids, and then by the end of it he wants to escape hell as a complete, escape the town. It's interesting what they do. I like some of the special effects. Some of the kills are very interesting what they do, but then you see as they get further on, so this goes up to the kind of remake, which isn't a remake, it's the original actor and actresses, but they're playing actors and actresses who are in the movie but terrorized by the real Freddy Krueger, who has a different look. I actually quite enjoyed that one, the 7th one, which is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Obviously, Wes Craven features in it as well. And I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the reboot. I liked the claw. As I say, I liked what they actually did with this. The only problem that I have, which is, it seems a lot of people have, is they kind of recycled a lot of the kills and stuff. Whereas, like in 2, like the dream, I think cleverly what they've done, they went a different way slightly, had a dream sequence with the coach bus on the kind of rocks. And I thought that was really good. And I think it's like 6, he gets like kind of corny, like animation kills from like a computer game. I like that because that sort of appeals to me. But I appreciate that obviously it seems very goofy, and that's why Wes Craven's New Nightmare was originally how he planned. And I think if that had been the first one, it's very interesting. But I really liked it overall to watch them all. I don't know if I'd go back to them. As I say, I think what a lot of people do, I don't mind the first movie and I don't mind New Nightmare. It's not something I would always gravitate to because of it's the horror movies that I kind of, you have kind of the guidelines, and this is what I said in my Saw movie, is essentially like Freddy, he's in the dreams in the first movie, he brings people in, and then she burns herself on the boiler and manages to escape. But then that magically never happens any again, because it's like, well, if anybody gets hurt in the dream world, you should come into the real world where Freddy kills you. Why does that not happen? He controls the dream world, but then it all, and that kind of area between the dream world gets blurred, and then he can kind of come into the real world, or then like the lad who's in prison who then gets strangled, because then Freddy can kind of come into the real world but then magically control inanimate objects. Obviously, you know, sometimes he's controlling the person because they believe it too. But then otherwise, you say when he hangs himself, you actually see the cover hang it. And I was like, that doesn't. And this is the thing of where you have these kind of superhuman beings that can't be killed, and then kind of the scope always moves of the power set, and they kind of change stuff to meet it. And I just, yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, I thought I'd follow this up, so I dragged this out of the collection. This is Freddy versus Jason, so this is the crossover that is set after the first 6 movies. I really enjoyed this. Very silly. You could tell they almost went a different way, where Freddy can kind of do martial arts, and they have kind of the powder on you where they kick in, it kind of puffs up and stuff like this. Very kind of cheesy, but kind of fits into the continuum and was an enjoyable film. So I really enjoyed this. I say it did 3 or 4 times its budget. I probably, if I think I was old enough at the time, would have gone to see this at the cinema, but I think this came out before I was 18. So then to follow on to that, as that was almost all the Freddy movies, there's also Nightmare on Elm Street 2010, which is essentially a kind of reboot, remake, but with a different. Isn't Robert Englund is the bloke who plays Rorschach? So I watched that. That was on Netflix as well, currently in the UK. I enjoyed that as well. Rorschach does sound a little bit like Rorschach. Kind of the makeup and stuff, how they done. He does kind of look more like a burned victim than kind of the gruesome Freddy plastic mask. And there was some stuff that they did really well, but again, they then kind of recycle some of the kills and stuff from the original. And again, by this time, I've watched in a week, 9 movies, and like 3 or 4 of them have the same sort of kills over and over again. It was just like, I'm kind of bored of this stuff. But the same, maybe it's me. But anyway, glad to have it in the franchise. Glad to have seen everything. I don't think I will pick up the final Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street film, but that's just me. So as I said, then we had Coupling Season 2, the longest series that they have out of all of it. Absolutely love this series. Cannot speak enough of how good this series actually is. Even going back, they talk a lot about bums and all this stuff and quite rude stuff. But it's just Jeff. Jeff is the character that makes the series, how he comes up with these silly terms. But even some of them, like he comes up with a giggle loop in this series. And I still use that quote today in stuff. Like I will say, but you know, I always want to laugh at it, and you want to laugh at an inappropriate time. You know, it's like the giggle loop and stuff like this. And quite a lot of people are always going like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, so that shows how powerful this is. Obviously, 2022, 23, and still 2025. I'm using quotes from this in modern day. So then, finally, to finish it up, is we have Eden Lake. So it's a horror. It was over this for Halloween, so I thought I'd watch this because it is a little bit shorter. Stars Michael Fassbender, which I didn't remember. Essentially, him and his wife here decide to go to Eden Lake to have a nice peaceful getaway. There are some youths there that come from not a nice family. They start being very annoying, so to speak, and kind of threatening and being obnoxious as bow type, like if you're from the UK know that term. You know, they terrorize these people, they damage to their car. Obviously, Michael Fassbender, when they go into town the next day, kind of goes to the family to confront them. No one's there. The kids are running. The dad comes home and the dad's just as bad as they are. And then essentially it spirals out that then they terrorize them, nick the car. Michael Fassbender tries to step up, ends up killing their dog. Then the kid, or one of the kids, basically goes nuts, tries to kill him. Everybody ends up more or less getting killed, and to the point the wife tries to escape, or what would be the future wife, its girlfriend at the time. She drives away in one of the brothers' car. Unfortunately, then plows into the front garden of the family of it. I was like, you couldn't have got more bad luck for these people ever. And then at the end, they basically take vengeance because this woman's killed some of their kids because their kids have essentially been terrorizing her and killed her partner. It ain't staying in the collection. It's done well. The bloke who plays the bad guy is the bloke who was in 28 Years Later. And he's been in a few other things, and he was in Skinners. I quite like him. He plays the same sort of role-ish. He was in Skins, I think, originally. For me, this is a movie that just maybe I'm more of an adult now, just find it frustrating. I don't find the kids funny. I find the kids are out of control, how they disrespect everyone. And it just gets worse. And the fact their family are just as worse. And this innocent couple, so to speak, just have had the misfortune of coming into contact with them and then led them to the point of where they're terrorizing. They're more or less both end up dead, as far as you could tell. I was just like, it just makes me angry at the world. It just makes, I know there are people, not necessarily as vicious as this, but I know there are people who have kids who don't raise them right and don't respect people. And and I know that's the way of the world, unfortunately, but it shouldn't be that way. And because it makes me angry, I'm like, I'll come out of this movie and go, "Rrr!" So yeah, this will be removed from the collection. So that has been a look at what I've been watching. Obviously, a lot of horror over. This will come out hopefully October, maybe November time. What are your thoughts and feelings? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know in the comment below. If you are new to this channel or new to this video, obviously I'm Chris. This is Cypher Sigma Screen Time. This is my movie channel. I do have a toy channel as well, so if you're interested in toys like I have there, that's also there. I have movie reviews. I have what I've been watching, as you've seen. I have Monday movie news. I have pickups. I have loads of stuff that you may like, so please feel free to browse my catalogues or playlists, and if there's anything you like, or if you want to hit that subscribe button, pardon me, please do so. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.